Hello, untethered listeners. This is Abby Rose, the spiritual accountant, and tune in with me. This podcast episode, we're going to be diving deep into soul purpose and crafting a legacy-based business model. Tune in, get a pen and paper. You might want to write some notes for this one. Everybody does have a soul purpose, and there's the grand soul purpose. There's the if we look at humanity as a whole, we're all here for the same reason. And I'm going to ruin it for everyone from the beginning, but like stay tuned if you want to go deep into the nuance of it. But realistically, if we look at humanity's sole purpose, we're all here for the same thing. We're all here to experience love. We truly, truly are. But love comes in so many forms. And if you look at the emotional scale, it's not that, I always look at it as the higher the frequency, the higher the emotion, the closer to love we are, or the closer to truth we are, our truth. And our highest truth is enlightenment, the gateway to enlightenment is love. So we're all here to experience love, to enlighten. And I think what happens is from soul to soul, from person to person, the expression of that love is different. So we all have a unique soul blueprint, and it's like written in the stars. It's not just about, what you're here to do, but why. It's not the what or the how. It's the why. It's always the why. So we're all here to express love in all of its forms, to achieve enlightenment, to raise the consciousness of humanity. But from soul to soul, the expression of that is so different. So this is where we've got to learn who we are. We've got to, I guess, unlearn who we're not. It's the unbecoming, it's the removing of the programs and the patterns and the beliefs that don't serve us and stepping into the truth of who we are at a very core soul level, right? So if we're all here to experience this love and to experience this enlightenment, this ascension, then we can look at what we do is the pathway to create that, not just for ourselves, but for others. So the do comes in. So I feel like there's the core why at a very collective level. And then we have, well, we're all here raising the consciousness of humanity. How do we do that? And based on your soul blueprint, based on the unique essence of who you are and why you're born. Yeah. So, one of the most important days of your life, the day that you were born. The second most important day of your life is the day that you learned why. And if anybody is out there thinking that they don't have a why, it's not that you don't have a why, you're just disconnected from it. Everyone has a why. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a seat at the table. Everyone has a contribution to humanity at some level. We all do. We all have skills, talents, values, beliefs. Like we all have like that currency, our energetic value. We've all got value to give to the world. So if anyone says like I don't have a soul purpose, I don't have a purpose, I don't have like it's not, it's just you're disconnected from your own unique value. So what I want to really encourage for people is to uncover that and uncover who you are. And it's not who you are just today. It's who were you as a child? Who were you as a teenager? Who were you in your early adult? Who were you in your mid adult? Who are you in your later life? Who do you plan to be in later life? Yeah. And it's like all parts of who you are because this all brings a very powerful piece to the world. And, not everybody's sole purpose is this big, grand world dominating, like it has to be bigger than Ben-Hur kind of expression and fame and glory. Like people who think that need to humble the fuck down for a minute and just be like, well, you know, if we fast forward to the end of your days and we fast forward, people don't remember what you had, People don't remember, your things. People remember who you were. Yeah, people remember the impact you had in their lives in some form or another. So this is where I think that a lot of people get tapped into a false matrix of accumulating material things because that's classified as success. But to whom, right? And the more the economy disintegrates into complete chaos, because it is, more people are searching. They're searching for that peace. They're searching for that missing, like people feel something missing and they don't know what it is, and they'll go searching for it. And they might search for it in unhealthy ways, like drugs or alcohol or addictions, or they can go searching for it in healthy ways, soul searching, eat, pray, love style, go to Mexico for, I don't know where people go, Peru, whatever, wherever they go, soul searching, but at the end of the day, what people are looking for is that peace inside themselves. They're looking for themselves. So when you can understand yourself at a very deep level, so this is learning who you are, not learning what you do. Your doings are the byproducts of who you are. So we need to uncover some of those layers of like, well, what do you value? What do you believe in? Who are you? Some people look to astrology, some people look to human design, some people look to gene keys. There's a million and one different personality profiles that we can take. And why do we take these things? Because we're so egocentric in the fact that we want to just get to know ourselves. Who are we? Who are we? And people will even outsource that and be like, you tell me who I am. They'll go to the psychic. You tell me who I am. Tell me what's my future. Tell me what's. And it's like when you connect deeper to yourself, you can uncover that your future is whatever you destine it to be. So I love taking people on this self-discovery, and the legacy model is taking that self-discovery and then wrapping it in a beautiful little business model to monetize, right? And it's not just monetizing in the sense of like I have these cool skills, and now I'm just gonna make money off it, but it's like this is the cosmic currency. Because when you be the truth of who you are and you express that and you give value to the world, money is the byproduct. And then what do you do with that money? You go and create more solutions. You go and help more people. And the more you tap into that essence of yourself, the more you can create. I had a beautiful session with one of my clients a couple of, oh, it's probably 6 months ago. And we tapped in. We started with the soul streams when we tapped in, and I have this gift where I can just see things. This creativity in me just lights me up. And, by the end of the session, it wasn't that I was creating anything. It was like I was extracting it out of her that already existed. And by the end of the session, she was like, "Oh my God, Abby, I can't believe I didn't even know. I couldn't even see any of this stuff." And then now this one product that we extracted has turned into three, and she is just like going, right? And it's so effortless because it's inside of her already, because we've tapped into her blueprint, her uniqueness, her skills, her passions, her talents, her creativity, her life experience, her childhood, her upbringing, her everything, holistic, all of it. What can people do if they want to uncover their soul purpose? Three things. To uncover your soul purpose, I'm not the special key to this. Like, you're the key to it. You've just got to find the key and unlock the door. So, first and foremost, I look at astrology, and it's not just your sun sign. You want to look at all of your placements because when you were born, the planets were in the sky, and these planets and these houses and these energies is what some of your natural flow is. So you need to learn who you are. Astrology gives you some of those characteristics that fall natural to you, right? Then you also need to look at the darkness as well. So shadow work definitely comes into it. It's not just knowing the good traits, but also knowing the bad traits, knowing the darkness, the things that you avoid, the parts of you that you're afraid to even look at or witness or acknowledge. And when you can recognize that, like usually in the darkness, there's a gift. There's always a gift. This is the yin yang, right? Light and dark. And if you look at the yin yang, there is light in the dark and there is dark in the light, right? You cannot have one without the other. So it's meeting yourself in all of the light and dark places with total compassion. It's just who you are. I see people, they reject parts of themselves or they try and be something that they're not. And this is where a lot of people burn out. This is where a lot of people feel unfulfilled. They feel tired. They feel, just completely disconnected. And it's because, you're either trying to be something that you're not, or you're rejecting a part of you that is so powerful. So shadow work definitely comes into it. But then I also look at life experience, right? Because everybody's had a life. Everybody's had a childhood. Everybody's had an upbringing. Everybody's had like this current life. And I think in the personal spiritual development spaces, people are focusing on the negative, too much on the negative of their past. Why don't you have a little reflection on the positive? Right? It's so easy to remember the negative, but what about the positive? Because I'm telling you that there are positives from your past. And that's what I like to look at with people. So I look at your upbringing and I look at your natural state as a child. When we're a child, we're closer to enlightenment than, it's like it gets conditioned out of us. So we kind of have to go to that child place and with that childlike curiosity, just look at some of those gifts that we had as a child because it'll be there, hands down, all the time. Children are in their gifts. They just don't know it. So I ask a lot about childhood and the positive aspects. What did you do as a child? What did you study at school? What did you really do well at? What was playtime like for you? Because play as a child, it's like the imagination and playfulness of a child is where the soul purpose is that's where it can be found. So then we look at it's not just life experience, we then look at some other core elements to who you are. And building the legacy model, there's four, I call it four zones of potential, right? So we look at who you are, those three things, and then to build the legacy model, we look at the zone of genius, the zone of passion, the zone of skill, and then the zone of sustainability, right? So based on all of those reflections, we can look at the zone of genius is the things that are innate to you, the things that you do that are not, it's not learned behavior. This is your genius zone. This is the thing that you could do day in, day out, and never get sick of. This is the thing that you would do and not even get paid for because you just love it so goddamn much. And if you could spend your life just doing this and nothing else, you would be happy. You would be deeply fulfilled because it's just, I always look at business as the activities in your business should be life-giving, right? It fills you up. It gives you energy. When you're in business and you're taking action, if that action is draining you, something's off. But if it's giving you a charge, an energetic charge, a lift, it's like giving you, it's life giving. That's charge energy, and that's what we want to put out in the world, right? And that is a huge element of business that you need to have in your business. Without it, you cannot function. So, uncovering your zone of genius, the childhood helps that. Then we've got the zone of skill, which is these are learned behaviors, right? Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it. We've all accumulated skills over our lifetime. Sometimes those skills are needed, especially in the startup phase or the bootstrapping phase of your business. And then when you get to a certain point, you can outsource those skills, right? But ultimately, there's skills that you have that are learned behavior, right? So I look at my skills and over the course of my career, my skills in finance, my skills in financial management, and my skills and knowledge in business and tax compliance. Not that I do that anymore. People still ask me, I'm like, no, don't love tax. Abby, help me with your tax. It's tax time. I'm like, nah, I'd rather not, thanks. And then, so the zone of skill, yeah, just because I know how to do tax doesn't mean I'm going to do it. So then you've got the zone of passion, right? And passion is what you're passionate about, right? What do you care about? And I think that, this is where I see a lot of business owners, they go into business because they're passionate about something. Passion alone doesn't make you profitable though, right? So just because you care about something doesn't mean you can make a successful business out of it, right? So passion alone doesn't get you profit, but it does drive a lot of your decisions, right? So when we have the zone of passion, when you really care about a certain demographic or a certain part of society, this is what drives the business decisions, right? It's not you then move away from being profit focused to becoming people focused. And I think that we're moving into an age where people don't want to be a number. People want the customized experience. People want to hear from you. They want to feel you. If they don't feel you, they don't want to work with you. We're shifting, and I think having the zone of passion is really important. There's a lot of people that are passionate about a lot of things, but nothing is happening. Yeah, well, things are slowly happening, but I think we can be really smart and mix all of these things together and drive solutions a lot quicker. So then we've got the zone of sustainability, right? And this one is because when you have your genius, your skills, and your passion, and you mix that with sustainable business practices and sustainable financial practices, this business then becomes sustainable. Like it becomes impact driven and it has a blueprint, it has a footprint on humanity. So when you think about it, like when you have a sustainable business, what do you think of? Like you think of, businesses that go paperless to be sustainable, right? A sustainable business is thinking about the future, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that I look at, right? So, I guess this is where my ADHD brain really comes into play, and that's part of my genius because I can be like off in 20 different places all at once. Sometimes I need to hone that when I'm dealing with people, but it's a skill that I have, right? So when we're looking at all of these core elements of who you are, the level of impact that you want to make on humanity to assist the consciousness, the rising in whatever shape or form, we can then put these elements into this business and really drive success from such a different place. It's not just having fulfillment because your bank balance is growing. It's like having fulfillment because the work that you do is meaningful and you enjoy it and it is life-giving and it charges you. And I think a lot of people, they just settle for like mediocrity or they just settle for what they have or settle for, but you've got to give life the opportunity to show you. And when you're busy doing all the things because we're trying to survive and put food on the table and do this and do that, like you're not listening to life. You're not listening to the universe and you're not giving it a chance to show you what you're here for. So the biggest thing for me when I was stepping into my legacy was creating the space to let it land. Because when you're too busy, like What's my sole purpose? And then you go and you've got a to-do list that's 3 miles long. Like you're telling the universe that you haven't got time for it. And time is a currency as well. It's a value of our currency. It's like what you're investing your time in and putting your energy towards. So sometimes we have to create that space to allow it to land, to show universe, yeah, I'm here for more. If you want to have a profitable business, it's a simple equation, right? So if you want to turn your legacy, your business model, your blueprint. So I talk about, in business, okay, now let's put the business hat on. There's 4 steps for creating revenue streams, right? So you want to create a revenue stream in your business, there's 4 steps to take. The first step is market research, right? Because your product or service is going to solve a problem, right? So it fulfills a need in people, right? You're providing a product or a service to people. That's what you're doing. That's what your business is, right? But before you create that product or service, you have to do market research. You have to. People skip this so much. And I think when you can be tapped in energetically to the collective, people can sometimes misinterpret what the collective is saying. So this is where I'll always run beta versions. I'll always do client questionnaires. I'll always be asking questions. I want to hear it from people's mouths, right? So when you do your market research, you've got to ask people, what do they want? Right? But you can't be vague either because when you ask someone, what do you want? Nearly 100% of the time, they don't know. They just know what they don't want. So you have to do market research, find out what people want, but you have to be specific. Once you have done that, you then go into product creation, product or service creation. You've got to create your product or service, right? Usually this is just the idea, the concept based off the market research. But it's not just that. Then once you create that product, you've got to build out the fulfillment of that product, right? So from someone who doesn't even know you at all, right through to them becoming a satisfied customer, right? So you want to know every single step of the way what their journey is. Map out that client journey and what the delivery mode of your product and service is. People don't do that either. And this is why a lot of business fall over in the first 3 years, because they haven't done that or they get overwhelmed and then it goes into growing pains and then they like expand too much too quick and then it all crumbles, right? So once you've then got the client journey mapped out, then that fulfillment mapped out, you then go to market. You then go to market, that's sales, that's marketing, advertising, and especially in the coaching space, I see people launching programs all the time. They haven't even built them out. And I will say that this is because they were told you can launch a program and don't even build it out, right? You can just build it out as you go along. That is the most ridiculous advice I've ever heard in a business. Like, you do not build out a product or a service as you go. Like, that is flying by the seat of your pants. That is chaotic and it will not drive sustainability, right? You want to have a product or service complete. You don't sell a product half complete. Why would you do the same for a service? And this is where I saw the coaching industry really crippled, right? It really crippled in the last couple of years because people can feel that they're buying into programs and services that they don't even know what it is because it's not built out properly. They're not told what it is. And that just doesn't fly anymore, right? People want to know where their money's going and they want to allocate it to where they see they will get the most value. And if you haven't even built out your program and can't explain it and talk about it and explain like all the steps of the way, then how are they going to know? People are not going to invest in that because if you can't even tell them, they don't even know. So I like to work with people on creating these revenue streams. So it's a little bit of that alignment piece, soul purpose piece, like tapping into your genius and extracting what you've got. And then I work with people on the actual business model as well, like building it out. Because you want to, this is where I see like people throwing out all these lines and all these different offers or services and product, and they're not even built. Yet you expect that money to come in and sustain you. Someone was telling me the other week, right? Three things in business. It's either good or not good. It's either fast or slow, or it's expensive or it's really cheap, right? So you can only pick two. So if it's fast and good, it's going to be expensive. If it's expensive and good, it's going to be slow. Yeah. So it's like you've got to pick what you want, right? And everyone's looking for the fast option, but the fast option doesn't always produce results. So I'm all about the slow option, right? I'm about let's build something good, let's build something sustainable, and it's going to take time. It's not overnight. I don't promise any overnight success to anybody because you got to do the work, you've got to build it out. If you want the results at the end of it, you've got to put in the work for it. There are no shortcuts in business. There are no get rich quick schemes, right? If someone's promising you overnight success, I guarantee you they're lying because their overnight success was not overnight. It takes time. It takes time to build this, right? So if you've got those four things, market research, product service development, fulfillment, client journey, and then you can go to market. I promise you, when you go to market, because you've done those other three steps, you know what people want, so you know their language, then you know what you've built, so you've got your language. So when it comes to going to market, you've got the language required to speak with so much conviction about what you do and who you serve. You don't need to spend $5,000 on someone crafting your ideal client. So I feel that to try and condense this into enough for people, like this is a lot of concept in one podcast, but you got to understand that the spiritual journey, the evolution, right? The becoming of who you are, coupled with the building of a business and finances and revenue, like that can put so much pressure on people. And I think that when you have that kind of pressure on yourself to be this version of yourself that maybe you feel is out of reach, or you're working on it, to make all of this financial success, and like let's just bring it back. Like let's just bring it home for a second, because I remember going through accounting, doing my accounting degree, working in public practice, being in that cubicle. I look back at every single step, starting my own bookkeeping business and driving around to all the clients, and then cloud accounting, and then working towards my tax agent license and working with accountants, and having my own business and building it up and then losing it and then building it up and then losing it and building it up again. And, like all these things that happen through life as well. You have relationships and then they fail. And then you have relationships and then they fail. And then you have kids and then they grow up. And then it's just like business, life, kids, money. If we're all here to experience love, and our unique expression is the truth of that love, then you want to be feeling that through this journey, right? You want to be feeling good. You want to be feeling inspired. You want to be feeling full. And if you're not feeling that, that's okay. Maybe you need to actually just let go for a little bit, because when we put all of this pressure, and when we've got the society's pressure, we've got relationship pressure, we've got parenting pressure, we've got financial pressure, so all this pressure, pressure, pressure. All I'm seeing now is humans burn the fuck out. And you can't go from I'm so burnt out and stressed and I don't have any money to I'm successful and I have abundance and I am financially free. You can't, it's just one of my team members said to me the other week was hurt people can't learn. And I think it's even similar for business. People in pressure and stress can't create. Like that creativity, it's not charged yet because there's all this kind of density around that. And it's, where you're making your decisions from. So, I love working with people on these business models, but sometimes the business model is not the answer. Sometimes we actually have to find out what kind of life we want to live first. Yeah, like what is important. How do you experience love? How do you experience joy? How do you experience peace? Because when you're not experiencing peace, joy, and love, it's very hard to move into that legacy model without it. Because that's like the base of what it is. And I've even had my own, unbecomings and unlearnings and shedding and all that sort of stuff. And the one thing through all of it that has remained the same is my unique expression of love and then why I'm here for that. Like, I look at my legacy model, it's never wavered. And in all the ups and downs of life and business, I've anchored to that. And that's what keeps you going. Because in those times of despair, in those times of struggle, in the times of the crumbling, that's your ultimate truth. And if you, like a lot of people was like, oh, Abby, y- you know, um, people compliment me, for my journey. And I thank that acknowledgement. Like it truly means a lot to hear that because people don't know what I've gone through. They can think they even know, but they don't know the intimate details of what I've gone through. And so many times I could have given up and I could have walked away and said, you know what, fuck everyone's legacy. I'm just going to be here for my own, you know? And it just kept pulling me back. It just kept pulling me back. And it was like a charge that it gave me when I didn't have the energy to go on for myself. Like at a human level, I did not have the energy. Like it's magical because when you're tuned in to your legacy, it will charge you and you can be tired and you can be exhausted and you could have not eaten all day and it's like I know it's my legacy because even without the money, I was still showing up. And even without the energy, I was still showing up and it was giving me energy. That's how you know, right? It's like you are the currency. The money in your bank account is the byproduct of your energetic currency. And that current has a voltage, right? So the energy that comes into you, and when you're in that unique expression, it gives you that charge, and then you put that out into the world. Money is not energy. You are the energy. And the money in your bank account is the byproduct of that energy. So when you're tapped in, right? So it's like, and I talk about this in Divine Wealth Code, but when you align to the cosmos and you align to the universal laws and principles through every chakra and then activate that soul star chakra, that soul purpose, that soul mission, what you're here for, it like turns on this tap of unlimitedness, unlimited energy, unlimited potential. Like if you can dream it in your mind and then take the aligned action to go with that, it will show up in your reality so quick that even you can't understand how that happened. It's like your purpose, but is it your purpose? The power of purpose for humanity. Because it's not about you. People keep making it about them. And yes, you're the custodian, you're the one bringing it through, but it's not about you. Who's it for? It's for the people. When you're tapped into your purpose, and there is a purpose for everyone, and it doesn't matter what that purpose is. And what I see is happening is we're shifting in business and society, and there's more AI coming in. And there's people like, oh, so many people are going to lose their jobs because of AI. And I get excited by that because if AI and robots can do all the mundane stuff, it's going to give people an opportunity to step into their purpose and step out of the slavery, right? So this is where, like, just because you're in employment, like, people say to me, Abby, I don't have a business. Is your stuff for me? And I'm like, of course it is. Because do you love the job that you're in? Do you want to be working that job for the rest of your life? There might be components of it that you absolutely love, for sure. Not everyone is supposed to have a business. Not everyone is entrepreneurial. Not everyone is like that. Some people love to freelance. Some people love to, everyone's got a different skill, talent, belief, like value to bring. I even look at the team that I have accumulated, and fuck me, everyone is just showing up for the grander purpose and their own purpose at the same time. Like, I always say to someone, I'm like, be careful if you come and work for me, you'll probably end up, in purpose work. So I'll never hold anybody back, from that either. Ever, 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 ever. I even remember, before I was a spiritual accountant, just early after the breakdown of my marriage, and I was doing bookkeeping still, and I hadn't handed in all my licenses and registrations at this point. And I went and met with a client, a potential client, and we sat down and were talking about business. And I remember they said to me, they were like, "Oh, you should be like a career advisor." At the time, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of a little gift that I have. I can extract people's skills and talents and turn it into a business or give them, some ideas around where they should go." I even had a friend, organized to meet up with me the other day. She was like, "Oh, I really have a question. I've got this idea." And I just love that she came to me and asked me that because I was like, fuck yeah, I'm here for this. And I literally saw the vision of it and I was like, oh, it's like this thing, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it was really cool. I love creation. And most of the things, that we're bringing into creation now with the people that I am working with, like you got to understand, like this stuff doesn't exist. And that's why my immersion is the innovator's immersion, because we're literally bringing through these creations through people's soul purpose that don't exist. It's things that we're creating for humanity, products and services that humanity actually need that doesn't currently exist because the system or business commerce has not provided those solutions because it's been so profit focused. So when we actually flip the script and become people focused and not profit focused, and we create what people actually need, we're doing a service to humanity unlike ever before. And then that opens up the not-for-profit space and the private space. And a lot of people come to me and they want to move into the private, but they don't know what their purpose is. They don't know what their service to humanity is. So we have to backtrack and do a lot of groundwork on that. But I'm here for it because there's not a single person I don't have a conversation with. I say, you give me 15 minutes with someone and I'll get to the heart of the matter every time. So I'm here for people. Like, whether this podcast episode has sparked something inside of you and you want to go down a creative rabbit hole, like, go do it. Give yourself the space for that, right? Like, start to ponder, get curious. I've got the soul streams as well. If you want a little help, we can tap into that. But this is what I'm here for the creations. And there's not enough people stepping into this still because we're still so focused on money, 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 money. And I say, fuck the money, start focusing on heart and people because that's where the truth lies.